everyone. We should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. I'm hoping this time there are no technical difficulties. I don't think that there will be. I do see the chat is working. We're hoping that the video actually pops up. I'm going to keep that live, actually, briefly to make sure that's the case. Tasmanaut, ballot drop-off boxes have openings. It would be a shame if liquid got in there and spoiled them. I sure hope no one uses a weed sprayer to flood them. I cannot, disclaimer, I cannot support such action because that would be literally a federal crime. It'd be better to try to harvest ballots from people who are sane, in my opinion. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know that Rumble's actually going to go live this time. Oh, God. Please go live. Just a second, everyone. I'm doing me bloody best. Let's see. Oh, yes, we are live. Thank goodness. Okay, we are live over on Rumble. Thank goodness. I know Twitter is live as well. We've got to talk about Project 2025. There's a big Astroturf about that right now. There's a whole Wikipedia article about it, actually. We've got some more polling to talk about, especially the Astroturf by the liberals. Yes, they're saying, well, Joe Biden is actually running ahead after a stellar debate performance. Now, that's really believable, by the way. The problem is if you match those numbers up with other recent polls, they make no sense actually at all. And then the Bloomberg polls, so, take them with a grain of salt. Leftist surge foils far right, but French election ends in deadlock. We'll be talking about the French election. Also, the hurricane. I am extremely worried about what Hurricane Beryl is possibly likely to do over New England. I would say that people that are in southern Texas, you're probably getting it right now. Probably half of them don't have power, actually, with the storm surge and the winds and so forth. As it moves across the United States, it might get drought relief. But then if it smashes into New England, as it's very likely to do, there could be a Hurricane Irene situation, which would be arguably a bigger disaster than in any coastal area. Because, of course, up in Vermont, New Hampshire and shit, we have mountains. And so it's a big problem. Water tends to funnel out of the mountains into the valleys, thus, incapacitating the areas that people actually live in. Hawaii governor says Biden could decide within days whether to remain in the presidential race. Yeah, I mean, he's already decided, but, we're going to be talking about that anyway. It's mysterious as to why these people pretend that Joe Biden hasn't already come out and unequivocally stated exactly what his intent is. Judge says Nashville, this is an important one, school shooters' writings can't be released as victims' families have copyright. Yes, an interesting interpretation of the law, one which should be obviously appealed to a higher court. Unfortunately, that's unlikely to be successful. So, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about here. It's some crazy shit. By the way, in 2 days, the Netherlands and England go at it in soccer. And statistically speaking, the English probably win. But I wouldn't put it past the Netherlands, Oranje, to actually win, in which case there's going to be a bunch of fireworks and shit here. So if I'm tired on Thursday, if I don't if I seem a little bit out of it, there's a reason for that. It means that the Netherlands won the soccer match, or rather football match. Tigers are my totem. Send $5. No comment. Thank you very much. Nick Ray 47. My best friend is like you, and in terms of being Trump supporters, but he truly believes Biden will drop out by the end of the month. Lol. I mean, he could. Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. It's just that the Democrats are crazy if they force him to do so. Sigil Stone. So far, I've slitted my hand while changing saw blades and skinned the fuck out of my knuckle. Broke the door jamb to the main office and put one of the saw blades on backwards. Fuck today. You should probably, if that many things happen in a row, maybe you should just take the day off. Benedict Anders. Hey, Sticks. A little concerned about U.S. elections after seeing what happened in UK and France elections. What the hell happened? Well, in the UK, that was Nigel Farage trolling. That's actually a victory, believe it or not. In France, it was Macron basically self-sabotaging, sacrificing his own political party in order to get the left elected to stop Le Pen. I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off again. Opium Gardener. Hi, Sticks. Would you say a big factor to why people aren't getting married and declining birth rates are due to the surge in lonely men dropping out of the dating market due to constant rejection? No, I would not. I think that it's demoralization and black pilling, and dudes should just go fuck. Go and fuck. Have sex. Fantesh 0104. Will other states refortify like Wisconsin in November? Probably not. I don't think that there's any legal time left for most of them to do that. They'll try in Pennsylvania, but God, looking at the new polling, I don't think that there's time. Killer Kriegsman, Clank, and good morning. Clank to you as well. The Witch Queen of Angmar. I'm in Lake Jackson, Texas, right on the coast. Pretty intense right now. Flooding, very high winds, and no power. If you don't got no power, how are you making a super chat? Oh, that's right. Some of you use smartphones. Some of us don't because we're tech illiterate. So yeah, no, it's going to be no joke. If it bends up in the direction that it's expected to bend up in, it probably hits dead center right on my home state. The last time that happened with a hurricane, I mean, assuming that it's still a powerful storm of any kind, it's going to cause catastrophic damage, unfortunately. I wish I was there because then I could prepare for it a little bit more. Sigil Stone, can't take the day off. Got to work the work day before and after a holiday to get holiday pay, or I would have. Well, yeah, but if you skinned your knuckle and you're all fucked up and you're gonna slice your hand off, dude, you're gonna end up like Wasted Bonehead, incapacitated. You're gonna be losing body parts. Only, if Wasted Bonehead loses a hand, he doesn't bleed because, I mean, he's a zombie. So there's a little bit of a difference. Anyways, let's get to the first news story. We've got Project 2025. This is a project by the Heritage Foundation, actually, that's been proposed. I've linked to the Wikipedia article. It's not going to be fair. It's going to be partisan. So keep that in mind. But we'll read through a little bit of this, actually. And then we'll talk about Trump's connection to it, because the whole idea is Trump, orange man bad. Trump is extremist and, he's going to do crazy shit. Project 2025 is a collection of conservative and right-wing policy proposals from the Heritage Foundation to reshape the United States federal government and consolidate executive power should the Republican nominee win the 2024 presidential election. It has to do with de-bureaucratizing the country mostly. So, I mean, you're not really increasing federal power, but I mean, I guess you can say you're consolidating it. It proposes reclassifying tens of thousands of federal civil service workers as political appointees in order to replace them with loyalists more willing to enable the next Republican president's policies. It seeks to infuse the government and society with Christian values. I don't really see the problem, and I'm not a Christian. Critics have characterized Project 2025 as an authoritarian Christian nationalist plan to transform the U.S. into an autocracy. Many legal experts have said it would undermine the rule of law. There are elements of it that, by the way, would get blocked by the courts. The separation of powers, the separation of church and state, and civil liberties, including the civil rights of women, persons of color, and the LGBTQ community. Here's basically what it lays out. Part of it is de-bureaucratization. That is, that you're reducing the federal bureaucracy. You're converting the federal workers in order to basically fire them. I don't see a problem with this. Just speaking for myself, as a classical liberal, I think that that's good. Reduction in bureaucracy means you're saving a lot of tax money. I don't see the problem with this. The second comport of it is the infusion of religion into normally secular aspects of civic life. I clearly don't support this because I am not a Christian. That being said, if I had to choose to live in a country that was run by Christians, Christian nationalists, as they generally term them, one in which there's a balanced economy, you're not going to war, etc., etc. One which has been debureaucratized, which has a lower tax rate, etc. Or one in which it's run by the more secular forces of U.S. liberalism, liberal big L, but it has a higher tax rate and you're constantly killing people, etc. I think that I would prefer the Christian society. And I say this as a non-Christian. I'm not religious at all. I don't believe in religion in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I would choose the former, obviously. What this is basically is a third-party proposal that Donald Trump is not fully on board with. He's not a religious Christian. I mean, come on, the liberals are fundamentally right. And the funny part is, here's the humor. They'll criticize him by saying, well, he's not really religious. Here he is holding up the Bible, but he doesn't really go to church. No shit. He's like Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was asked why he didn't go to church regularly. This is back in the middle of the 1980s. And he had an interesting response. And most of you, 99% of you, have never heard of this. And he said, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But I don't go to church regularly because somebody might show up to try to shoot me or bomb me or something like that. And I don't really want to endanger other people. And, I talked to my pastor and he said that's okay, stuff like that. It was a total cop-out. The fact is that he simply wasn't very religious. He was a civic nationalist, he's a Christian in name, basically. Yes, I believe in God, but I don't really want to go to church. I got other things to do. That was Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump is effectively the same way. We need to understand that. He's not highly religious. The fact is that he's not going to glom on to that aspect of the Heritage Foundation's proposal. As far as the debureaucratization, who could possibly argue against it? That's a great idea. Firing a few 100,000 people to save tax money? Yeah, it raises the unemployment rate marginally for a while, but supposedly they've got skills. They're the best and the brightest. They should be able to get other jobs, so it shouldn't be a problem now, should it? You can go down through this if you want to. Since 1981, the Heritage Foundation has been publishing new editions of its Mandate for Leadership series in schedules in parallel with presidential elections. Heritage calls it Mandate a Policy Bible. So in other words, this is not something that Donald Trump has actually imposed at all. This is something from a third party. But it still gets big play in the legacy media. I fucking wonder why. What they're trying to do is scare people. They did this, again, another parallel. They did this to Ronald Reagan. They told people, and they've told him continuously, if you elect this person, your Medicare, your Social Security will go the way of the dinosaur. What did Ronald Reagan actually do? He simply froze increases in federal spending on bureaucracy. That's all he did. And he only did it for a couple of years. It was very, very mild reform. Trump is the same sort of mild reformist. That's all he is. This is simply a return to 1983. Did the world end when Ronald Reagan was reelected? No. There were people that were afraid that it would be, but it didn't. That's the reality of it. Barbecue with Randy Sticks. I'm in Slovenia and you are in the Netherlands. Let's get together and have a good old-fashioned American barbecue. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. I've actually got a ribeye steak in the fridge right now. I'm going to be putting it in a bag and marinating it for like 48 fucking hours. And yeah, I am going to cook it with pineapple juice. I promised that I would make a steak, medium rare, of course, a hair over that towards medium. That's the best way to have a steak. And I would marinate it with pineapple juice, and I put like tomato sauce and cheese on top of it just to piss Razorfist off. He's probably going to fly to the Netherlands and kill me as a result of that. Tasmanaut. Bannon promotes Project 2025. Not that I'm against it. Why did Trump disavow? I don't understand the play when he's obviously connected. He is not a Christian nationalist. You've got to understand, Donald Trump believes in God. Donald Trump believes in Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. I have no doubt of that. But he doesn't believe in religion. And that's the more expansive part of it. As far as the deregulation side of it, I think he believes in it 100%. But he doesn't want to glom onto the whole project because it's not just one issue. It's a number of issues. He can't support them all and get elected. And he's well aware of this fact. He's being pragmatic. Senor Faces, I do think that Wisconsin is still possible to win, but it requires to use their toys instead of destroying them. Makes it a 54% winnable, 70% reversal. Yeah, I would not bother myself. I would focus on other states, especially Pennsylvania at this point. Chit Chat Cat, hey Sticks, would you please give a shout out to @Dragonsong? Yes, you can have a shout out. Who friggity who? We need to borrow Argentina's president for a year or two. Yeah, Javier Milei is doing a good job too. B-list history. New video on my channel. I would like to popularize the term Caligula effect. Goodness. Fuse 32. Good morning, Sticks. Happy clanking. Happy clanking to you as well. Sigil Stone. The saw blades are now in the machine. Each assembly is about $10,000, and there's 4 of them. I wouldn't want to miss watching them and launch out of the machine now, would I? That'd be cool to see. Yeah, it'd be like the chakra that Xena throws in Xena Warrior Princess, I suppose. Only more deadly. Final Rambobino. I talked to a TDS suffering person over the holiday. It's wild how they think. I know the feel. Swamp Donkey. Trump has walked away from 2025. He took money from Bill Ackman and Miriam Adelson. Both hardcore anti-MAGA. Both will have lopsided power in placing people in Trump's cabinet. We're hoping that he makes better hiring decisions, admittedly. Matt G. Hammond. There is a PDF document laying out what Project 2025 is on their website. Yeah, and there are aspects of it that I support, and there are aspects of it that I obviously don't support. It depends on the individual component, and that's why Trump walked away from it. I love Znauman. I love your stuff, Sticks. You and the Quartering were some of my favorites even before the team up. Have a lovely day. Oh, yeah, with that ribeye in the fridge, I'm sure that it will be. And Liz is cooking a roast chicken later with carrots and potatoes and onions and all the other good shit in life. So I'm going to be eating high on the hog today, except it's not a hog. It's a bird. F. Winters Loading. Hey, Sticks, I know you think it's best for Dems if Biden stays in the race, but if it keeps getting worse and worse, the ABC interview, for example, I think the Jenktards might be right. He needs to go. That's the problem. What do you replace him with? The only suitable replacement is someone who has said that they're not interested in running. Well, then you lose. Sigil Stone. Wouldn't marinating meat in pineapple juice that long break down the meat and turn it into mushy bullshit? Well, no, I'm not going to marinate it in the pineapple juice. I'm going to add some pineapple juice when I actually cook it in the pan. That's the goal. Braise it off and, make it all yummy. I'm going to marinate it as usual. Cook it medium well. That's the way to do it. Alan Smithy. People forgot that Creaster Ixtians are a thing. Yes, Christmas and Easter. That was what I was when I was younger. And you go to church basically twice a year. That's Donald Trump. He's got other things that he's got to do. You think that you get that far in a corporate environment while being highly religious? Yeah, good luck. Unless you're just being, a mega church pastor, and then you're less religious than Donald Trump is. Your God is money. Hopium Gardener. Sticks, it is not prudent to criticize Trump on giving Nikki Haley a position in his cabinet while John McEntee and James Bacon are shafted. Nikki Haley won't be in his cabinet. Suckduck, economy or SS in your election. Time to choose. Alan H. Greetings from Houston, Texas, where we are currently getting pounded by Hurricane Beryl. The power has been going out. Wish us luck. Clank. Yes, I hope that everyone did as I suggested in southern Texas and got some extra water or at least light beer. They're basically the same thing, so it doesn't matter. Huns with guns. Makes no sense to abandon Wisconsin when it's still demographically favorable. No, it makes sense to whirlwind that money around into Pennsylvania, I think. Senor Faces, did Wisconsin refortify their Stix Fumo plush production? Sadly, I believe they did. Ozzy's Robots, morning Stix. My guess is Trump has reached some accord with elements of the deep state. They've surely reached out to him since he'll likely win. Yeah, good luck trying to control him when he can never run for re-election again, though. I think that we have an advantage this time around. Swamp Donkey. I hope people see that the center right will join forces with literal communists to avoid any type of nationalist from getting power. Case study, France. Yes, indeed. F. Winter's loading. If Dems fuck up real bad, do you see Republicans picking up huge majorities in the House and Senate along with Trump being elected? No. I think that they lose the House. I think they gain the Senate, and I think they gain the White House, but I don't think that they gain the House of Representatives. Now we're going to go to some polls, by the way. We've got some real wonky ones as of the 6th of July, a couple days ago. We have Bloomberg and Morning Consult. Now, keep in mind the political leanings of Bloomberg. I'm supposed to believe that Donald Trump is now 5 points behind in Michigan, while he has soared to a 7-point lead in Pennsylvania. I'm supposed to believe that he's only a point ahead in Georgia, while he's 3 points behind in Wisconsin. I don't believe these polls. I think we can ignore the Bloomberg polls. I'm not sure exactly why they're even being aggregated. The fact is that after the damning debate performance that Biden put on, we see a systemic collapse of his approval. We would expect that to trickle down to state polling. When I look at the Forbes, Harris, and Remington research polls, therefore, I say that makes sense. That's in line with what I would expect. Trump is ahead. He's ahead by, in those polls, 6 in Wisconsin. I think that's a little bit high. 5 in Pennsylvania. That makes sense. 3 in Michigan. That makes sense. 7 in Arizona. That makes sense, although I don't think he wins the state because of Maricopa County. 7 in Nevada. That makes sense. That's in line with the aggregate anyway. 10 in Texas, 10 in Ohio, and 20 in Montana. All of these make sense. When I look at the differential between approval polling for Joe Biden, that is, approval versus disapproval, and its drag on the state polling. When I look at the Bloomberg polling, I don't see anything really that makes sense. I mean, I guess I can give you the +5 from Nevada and the +3 from Arizona. That's within the aggregate generally. But for him to be +5 in Michigan while somehow losing massive steam in Pennsylvania, so that Trump is being dragged up in the aggregate by the Bloomberg poll, it doesn't make any sense at all. +1 in Georgia while you're +7 in Pennsylvania? Me no think so. I don't think that that's accurate at all. The new polling from Bloomberg should be completely ignored. I would recommend that RCP scrub it from the aggregate altogether and boot the polling firm from the aggregate entirely. And Bloomberg has done this systemically throughout time. They have an enormous gap. We're talking about on one end, you're +7, on the other end, you're +5. And it doesn't even make sense, the states that you've got those numbers in. So Trump would win the election, by the way, if this polling slew were true. He'd win Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. He'd break even. There's no polling for Virginia here. While losing Wisconsin and Michigan, well, that's the election. He wins. And this is considered to be, by the way, a good thing. Like the Biden wins page on Twitter was tweeting out about this poll without actually linking it, of course. They never use RCP, not without good reason, saying, well, Biden has gained on Trump in the wake of the debate. Well, no, he hasn't. I can point to a Remington poll that shows the exact opposite. That shows Trump, again, +5 in Pennsylvania, +6 in Wisconsin. Well, I mean, he could +3 in Michigan. He could win all 3 of those states. Again, that is the election. Those are all the numbers that you need. North Carolina at this point is off the table. It's the middle of July. You don't have enough time to contest North Carolina at this point, in my opinion. Brian Zwart, good morning. Stick still recovering from Ian. Send a Hexen to any future tropical madness for the next 10 years. Hexen, good video game, by the way, from the N64 era. Barbecue with Randy. Sticks, can I get a shout out for my GoFundMe campaign? We are NGO traveling around EU, sharing the culture of American barbecue with U.S. troops abroad. Area grill and barbecue. Okay, share it out. As long as you feed me some really sweet ribs. By the way, if you're going to make pork ribs, the bone has to be in them. They can't be boneless. And they have to be exceptionally sweet and buttery. That's the secret to it. Ozzy's Robots. The polling reflects the planned cheating. How are they supposed to cheat? That's just a one-off. I mean, if you look at the aggregate, it's nowhere near what Bloomberg is saying. Sigilstone, did you know the current governor of Pennsylvania helped cover up a vicious stabbing murder? And yes, he has ties to certain hat-wearing group were a major factor. Interesting. The Pennsylvania governor went to an ethno-religious academy, and one of the sons of the family that got him in murdered his fiance, and then Attorney General Shapiro got it declared a suicide. I did not know that. If you want to DM me on Twitter, that's something I'd need to look into. Pilgrim Media, is the power dreaming of grassy knolls? Unfortunately, that's the likelihood. Yeah, I'm sure that they are. By the way, let's get to our sponsors before we get to more news. We're already 26 minutes in. We're not going to get to all the news stories, but we have to get to Beryl. At the very least, we have to get to Beryl in the French election. Our sponsors, cultivated-mind.com, where you can get all sorts of mushroom pills and nootropics. And I've taken both of them, I would say, in my personal experience. Disclaimer, this is not an FDA-approved comment. In my experience, they worked pretty well. They did give me a boost of energy for the course of 8 to 10 hours. And I was surprised at that. I figured, okay, you sent me a bottle of pills and they've got mushroom extract. They're not going to do anything. Actually, I was completely wrong. They did something, at least in my particular case. So you can check out, again, cultivated-mind.com. We've got pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, engraved spoons, and much, much more. They've got glassware available now as well. And so with the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer logo, various designs available. They're handmade, like look at my passport cover. Yeah, my passport's in there. I love this. This is probably the best thing that they've ever made. And I hope that they are more widely available soon, because it's pretty cool. Every time I travel, I put it in there. BiltongUSA.com or AntonsUSA.com, the land of delicious meat. I've got some meat actually waiting for me in Rutland, including, I believe, probably kangaroo. So kangaroo biltong, that'll be good. Use code STICKS, by the way, on all of these sites if you are prompted to enter a promo code. And you can also get Sticks, Hex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts as well. Wicked Needle Embroidery.bigcartel.com, the land of Sticks, Hex, and Hammer hats. Several designs and colors available. You can get the offset logo, the central logo that says, actual Sticks, Hex, and Hammer below it. They're good quality and very, very fun. I've got a number of them. Sometimes I wear them around town. Although, unfortunately, I didn't bring one here. And then I was kicking myself afterwards. I'm like, God damn it. I knew that I forgot to pack something. It was the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer hat. Heritage Heirloom Seed Company.com, land of the seed survival bucket. Yes, indeed, you can plant in your crops. Their cucumbers are second to none, by the way. The Japanese climbers, they're doing extremely well. Like, we're talking, there's no way that I can pickle them all well. Like, I'm going to have to figure out something else to do with them, to give some to the neighbors or something like that. But then again, I did plant 12 plants, and that's a little bit excessive considering I don't even eat raw pickles. I don't even eat raw cucumbers. I just want the pickles. Also, the Sticks, Hex, and Hammer soapbox. We've got the cedar, clove, blueberry blend available, and it smells delicious. I actually did lick the soap bar once. It even tastes pretty good, although I don't know if that's particularly healthy to do. I just figured, whatever. We've got websterswares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get various Sticks, Hex, and Hammer material. We've got blades available, and those are always good. They sent me several. Jackets, flags, metal straws so that you can save the turtles, because, you know, you can use them over and over again for like your yerba mate or something like that, your matcha tea, and you don't have to use the reusable ones. Also, you can go to their main site and they've got Trump paraphernalia and they've got miscellany available as well. Jamnbean.com, that is JAMN bean.com, where you can get tea and coffee. Get the Costa Rica blend. That is my highest recommendation for coffee. It is the best coffee that I have ever had in my entire life. Smooth. You're not going to need to add any milk or sugar or anything like that to it. It's just really, really smooth. I don't know how they process it, but somehow they found a way. mtpu.com, that is mtpew.com, where in the United States, at least, not here in the Netherlands, of course, you can get ammunition. Pistol ammunition, rifle ammunition, both range brass and newly manufactured. 9 milli, 40 Smith & Wesson, 5.56, 223, etc. And finally, brickmuseum.com. This is a Lego museum in Bel Air, Ohio, which I really, really need to see. They're open through the end of August, if I remember correctly. And they've got a whole bunch of stuff there. You go to their site and just see what they've got available, because it's a fairly impressive collection. I'm hoping they have like old vintage Lego sets or something like that on sale. I just load up. I'll drop $1,000 on old vintage Legos at the drop of a hat. I really want that Viking flagship. You know, the one from like, it was like 1992 or something like that. That was one of my favorites. It didn't look like much, but it was fucking fun. That was my favorite set ever. That and the Armada flagship from when they had the Spaniard, like the colonial Legos. Back before they were politically correct. I had 2 of them. Oh man, that was great. I never did get the schooner, the pirate schooner, or the galleon. I never actually got those ones, but I did have 2 Armada flagships, and so I was like, well, I've got a pretty suitable navy. Also had a fire ship, actually. Let's see. Barbecue with Randy. You described my ribs completely. See profile picture. Yeah, they do look pretty good. I can see it right now. Albin Johnson. What is your favorite plant? Oh, God. You might have just asked me the hardest question, actually, in the history of my content creation. For indoor plant, the Bilbergia bromeliad, which it's kind of hard to get it to flower. I mean, you can force it to flower, but, you know, it can be problematic. For outdoors, for like a flower, I'd say the Nicotiana, which is just an ornamental flowering tobacco. It smells nice. It looks nice. Butterflies like it. And for like a vegetable or a fruit, something like an edible plant, I'd say the thimbleberry. But you can't really cultivate those in an agricultural sense. Those are more wild. Oh, but they taste so good. If you've never tried a thimbleberry, get some thimbleberry jam. You can actually get that from, I think, the Marionberry Company online. Oh, God, it's good. Smear that on some nice toast, you know. Let's see. Sizzle, DM'd. If that's the kind of shit Josh Shapiro is into, you have to wonder how he feels about voter fraud. Goodness. And Swamp Donkey. Trump needs to purge his campaign of the Bill Ackman picks, Mary Madelson and J.D. Vance types. In a sick way, I kind of want to see Biden win to end the illusion of choice and force the R's to change. Well, they're already changing. Give them a little bit of, give sympathy to the devil. The Republicans have been retarded for a very long time, since the end of the 1980s. It's going to take time. It's going to take more than one Trump term to convince them to lead a horse to water, and in other words. You know, you've actually got to lead it across the pasture. You can't just lead it halfway. Give them a little bit of time, give them a little bit of credence, defeat Joe Biden, see what happens, and then, and only then, if they really fuck up, if the administration doesn't do the populist thing, crush them. And I will be the first to tell people to do so. I'm not a partisan voter. I'm not a Republican. I mean, I can't be a Republican. I mean, they're a bunch of losers, generally speaking. No offense to any Republican partisans out there, but your party likes to lose more than it likes to win. Just saying. Andrew Saberg, hey Sticks, look up the company American Rounds. They're setting up vending machines that sell ammo in Alabama and Oklahoma grocery stores. And that sounds fun. Fire down below. How much Bitcoin do you have? What's your next buy-in price? Well, if it collapses, I'll buy back in. I liquidated some of it. Not all of it. I still have quite a bit of Bitcoin. But I decided to liquidate some of it because I had other things that I wanted to buy. And you can't always buy everything with Bitcoin. So I converted some of it to fiat. Let's see. Leftist surge foils far right, but French election ends in deadlock. Yes, indeed. There is no single governing coalition in France. Macron, here's what happened. In order to cock-block Le Pen, Macron forced his own candidates to stand down so that the leftoids would win in those particular provinces and districts. Really underhanded, really shady. He just wants to cling to power. He wants to be Jupiter, and he alluded to that before. He will, in the end, I believe, fail. And here's why. The leftist coalition currently running France, I believe, will run it into the ground economically. They will ignore the crises that are going on there because they're leftists, so they don't know how to govern. They'll ignore multiple crises, and people will get more pissed. Macron, he falls to third, so he's sort of off to the side. Yeah, okay, you get to lead. That's perfectly fine, but you don't have any representative power. And then Le Pen will do it the next time around. I have a feeling that'll happen. Some people are equating this, by the way, with the UK's election, where Labour won a big majority. This is a false equivalency. In France, you had Macron, who is not a leftist, at least in the economic sense. He's an authoritarian, but he's not a leftist, forcing his candidates to stand down in order to allow communists, literally sometimes, and socialists to take power. In the UK, you had a populistic movement crushing the old guard conservatives, the neocons, and sweeping them out of the way entirely. Nigel Farage taking an MP position along with 3 others as part of the Reform Party. These are not the same. When people say Europe is lost, the UK and France are both won by the far left. No. This is a short-term proposition. The long-term proposition is give them enough rope and they hang themselves. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think that the French left will be unable to govern, probably, and then have to get Macron's permission to do anything anyway. They're not going to be able to have them. They don't have an outright majority. In the UK, the Reform Party will gain more support, I think, next election, assuming that Nigel Farage continues to lead competently, and he usually does. The Tories, they might fall out of existence, but Labour is going to overstretch in the UK, just the same as the far, far left, which is running France, will overstretch in France. Now, the far left is responsible for every police-involved killing. They're responsible for every beating of a civilian. They're responsible for censorship. They're responsible for everything. Well, they're going to get the blame for it, naturally. Well, people will solidify behind Le Pen in the end. And keep in mind, Le Pen is not right-wing either. She's a center leftist on economics. She's just a little bit far left than the current so-called ruling coalition. She's arguably a little bit further to the left than Macron. That's the irony. She's just less authoritarian on domestic social issues. You've got to understand the nuance involved. It's not the same as the U.S. system. The U.S. system, Democrat, Republican, broad tent parties. It's different within Europe. It's different here in the Netherlands. It's different in France. It's different in Germany. A lot of people in the United States don't understand this. It's not the same. If I had to guess, I would say that probably over the next few years, the left fails to govern in France, falls apart, and then you have a resurgent right-wing movement, probably a successful one. In the UK, I think that Labour doesn't necessarily fail to govern. I mean, they're not the Lib Dems, so they're not. This isn't the far left party. This is the center left party. But probably the economic malaise continues. There's no reason to believe that they'll be able to reform the economic system in such a way that the malaise will go away. Therefore, Nigel Farage will continue to harangue. He'll do what he does best. He's been very successful at this for a number of decades, and then eventually rises up. I think that things look more on the up and up in the UK than in France, but all hope is not lost. When people say, well, that's the end, communism has won France. No, it hasn't. Watch what happens with the left-wing coalition. When the communists and the socialists and the center leftists refuse to work with each other, as they probably will, because they have entirely different ideologies, it'll be very, very fun to see. Unfortunate for the French people, but from the outside looking in, it'll be amusing, Schadenfreude on some level. Barbecue with Randy, shout out please. The GoFundMe title is Fuel Area Victus Barbecue Mission for Troops. This is super important to me. It's Army mission every summer to visit as many bases as possible. That sounds fun. Sign me up. Although maybe I'll just grab an MRE too at the same time. Tasmanov. French election system is confusing, as is the UK and Australia. For all its faults, the electoral college system the US has is the best I've seen. Yeah, I mean, it is more straightforward when you acknowledge that. Apache, they may hang the entire West with that rope. Is there a chance for a long-term win if they just ruin everything in the meantime? Even when the left is in power, they blame the right, so it won't matter. They'll do so unsuccessfully. People will see through that. Have a little bit of faith in the population and their discernment. I know sometimes it's hard because there are morons out there, but there are also intelligent people that at some point they realize they see the writing on the wall. They understand what's going on. The unintended. Like my grandpa said, you can lead a horse to water, but no, he'll make a mess, which means a horse is a horse, of course, but you should never drink with a horse, of course. That's a mashup if I ever saw one. King of Biltong, good morning from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free shipping for your biltong using code STICKS on biltongusa.com and antonsusa.com. Anton's, where everyone has meat in their mouth. Have a great week, everyone. I can't wait to try the kangaroo, by the way. Sigil Stone, I heard Anton is going to have a medieval-themed pork sale. All the pig you can fit in a scabbard. Come get your hands on Anton's pork sword. Oh, God. We're all being unnecessarily sexual at times in chat. I'm going to cut the other two stories. I'll bounce them to tomorrow. I'll talk about those tomorrow because I also do have another live stream today. Remember, at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time with the quartering. That's, I believe, 7 p.m. local. If you're here, like in Western Europe, I believe. 6, 7, 8, sometime around there. We'll figure it out. But yes, I will be going live with him as well. We got all sorts of fun stuff to talk about. Beryl expected to hit Texas, regain hurricane strength. Yes, this was a while ago. It has regained hurricane strength. It is hitting Texas currently. We've gotten that from a couple of clankers, by the way, as well in southern Texas, including the Houston area. So this storm is stretching, I guess, from the Rio Grande to the Houston area already. This is going to be, I believe, extremely messy. Clankers, look at the storm tracker for this. If you're in the flatlands in a cornfield in fucking the middle of Kansas or something, it's probably not going to be a big problem. If anything, if you've got a local drought, maybe it alleviates it a little bit, although there might be some runoff. If you are in New England, especially, or the Catskills in northern New York, or Pennsylvania, if you're in some area that's relatively mountainous, or at least rolling hills, you got little happy rivers. It looks like the Shire, right? It looks like Skyrim in Vermont, for half of the year. Keep in mind that rain concentrates in the valleys. We saw what happened for the handful of people from Vermont that do regularly watch my live streams. You'll remember what happened to Brandon, probably. Let's go, Brandon, literally in Vermont, not far north of Rutland, back during Hurricane Irene. That was more than 10 years ago. I got a recording of it. You can see it for yourself. It was phantasmagoric. When I was going through Brandon, and this was, I think, a couple of years later, I think I had to take a flight or something. It was insane. The amount of damage to the town was incredible. There were buildings along the river. They'd collapsed. There were bridges that had collapsed. Several bridges in Bridgewater collapsed as well, actually. I saw footage of that. I couldn't believe it. I had walked across that bridge as a little kid. It had been completely swept away, completely destroyed. Out behind my house, for example, there was just a little river. Now, this river is not as wide as this room and not as deep as my knee. I've waded up it multiple times to pick flowers and, see the ferns and mushrooms and shit like that. It swelled up to the point where it was going over the road. It filled in the whole area. It was a roaring torrent. I've got footage of it. It was the first time I got over 50,000 views on a video that I myself had made that wasn't a music-related video. It was incredible, the amount of damage that was done. Pittsford suffered damage. Certainly there was damage up in Middlebury. Not exactly a surprise to any of you who live in the state of Vermont. I didn't even get to see the eastern side other than the Bridgewater Woodstock area. But it was a huge amount of damage. My worry is that when I looked at the storm tracker for this particular storm, it looks like it's going to bend up on exactly the same trajectory, pretty much. If it comes across New England and it's still even close to a tropical depression, you're going to have considerable amounts of damage. So if you're in the New England area or you're in any mountainous area that's reasonably close to the storm tracker, it could go east, it could go west, we're not sure. If you're anywhere in that area, get water or light beer because it's the same thing. Now, make sure to have some supplies on hand. Don't be a victim. Don't be stupid because, there are going to be people, unfortunately, that are in the path of this storm. They didn't prepare. The power is out. They can't go to the store. Everything's closed. Everything's shuttered up. And then they run out of gas. They run out of water or something like that. You get a baby and you keep extra water on hand, get an extra bottle of formula or something like that. It's probably a good idea. Always be prepared. It's like if you're living in Tornado Alley. Some people say, well, having a storm shelter is like survivalism. That's like conspiracy mode. No, because the tornado might actually destroy your home. Well, it's probably better to be in the storm shelter than above in the main floor now, isn't it? It's probably best to have some supplies on hand. Weather can get a little bit weird on the North American continent sometimes. It's like in Vermont. Sometimes you have a blizzard. I remember the polar vortex here. Holy shit. There was a big-ass ice storm. It knocked out power for like 3 days intermittently. And it was good that we had wood so we could heat food. It was good that we had prepared water on hand. I had a couple of MREs. I was actually able to have coffee. And I was very, very happy about that fact. It was like bliss. You prepare the cup of coffee and an MRE, and you can actually heat it too because you get the flameless ration heater. I was on cloud 9, actually. And it's kind of fun when you think about it. Patchy, as much as I'd like to believe in the masses, they're more afraid of being called racist than giving far leftist power. They won't care until it's too late. Well, the left is becoming more and more anti-Semitic too at this point, so you never know what's going to happen. Why am I getting so... Oh, for the love of God. CW Spangle, I do not care, by the way, if you post that sort of thing on my Rumble channel. I just ask that you don't post it 30 or 40 times in a row. Perfectly fine, but give other people a chance to talk as well. Otherwise, I'm going to put you in timeout, dude. I'm going to put you in timeout. Okay, you're not listening to me, so you're getting a brief timeout. Don't worry, you're not going to be banned, because I don't believe in banning people, but you are getting a 5-minute timeout for spamming. I don't care what you say on my channel. I don't care if you call me a motherfucker. That's perfectly fine. You can insult me. You can post things that are edgy. You can post things that in some countries would be goddamn illegal. I don't really care about that. But let other people speak as well. No hecklers' vetoes, okay? No, I'm not going to boot the Nazi at all. I'm not going to ban him, Sal the hamster. If he keeps it up, I'll give him another timeout or something. We'll escalate the situation. Yeah, when I give you a timeout, you know that you've really gone off the deep end. How long was he spamming for, by the way? How many times did he post it? 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so whatever. Yeah, I know Sal. I've seen him before, but I don't believe in banning people unless they're defaming another user or posting something like outright terroristic or links to something illicit, like something literally illegal. I'm not going to ban anyone. It's I just I can't bring myself to do it because I believe in free speech imperialism, so to speak. Absolute free speech, but you don't get to do the heckler's veto. Anyways, I won't be live for another 5 minutes, so he's timed out for the day. He'll have to come back tomorrow. Yes, Sith, I believe I accidentally banned you at one point. I think I misclicked, if I remember correctly. Don't ban him, he just needs to stop spamming. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he can speak his mind if he wants to. If he wants to talk about Jews on my channel or something like that, I don't have a problem with that. It's just don't drown out other people in their conversations. Everyone is supposed to be able to speak their piece. Basically, we're all in togas, and this is like we're in a marble mausoleum or something like that. That's where we're having our conversation. I may lead the chat, but I like others to, have their say. Grab and share. Karen's in the chat. No, there's no Karening going on. No. No, clankers tend to lean towards the rather libertarian when it comes to free expression. No Karening allowed. Jaegerbomb. DNC looks like it's about to go into a civil war. Oh, and I'm loving it. Yeah, you're loving it too. I'm also hopeful that with Trump likely to return, no World War III. Your thoughts? Yes, if we can avoid like a nuclear war, that would be nice. I don't really want to see people die because I'm mentally normal. Well, I mean, I'm not mentally normal, but I'm relatively sane. I'm not a sadomasochist. Let's put it that way. Much as though it'd be funny to grow, glow-in-the-dark leaks, it'd come at the expense of hundreds of millions of people. So I'll unfortunately, I'll have to bounce that one. The ogre. I can't repeat what he just said from the Rumble live chat, but it's still funny. Yeah, no, I mean, if you want to call people retarded goyim or something like that, that's fine too. I just don't give a shit. By the way, there was an old cartoon about that or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was with the lay merchant meme. I'll put it that way. I'm edgy too. I like a good troll, and I am definitely not politically correct. Just don't spam. That's all I'm asking. No spam or scams. Those are the only rules. You can speak your mind, but others must be allowed to speak theirs. And you shouldn't be scamming people. That's all. What's Extra Crispy saying? Yeah, you've got to understand, Extra Crispy, you've got to understand one thing. Some of us multi-stream. So, like, for example, I'm live right now on Rumble. It's kind of a no-holds-barred chat and stuff like that over there. But I'm also live on YouTube. So I have to comport to the terms of service of both sites. I just have to do that. And I have to do that because, number one, I have to make a living. And number two, I try to promote new tech on sites like Rumble. And I can make exclusives there as well. And then those are going to be more edgy, of course. But I don't hate anyone for their race. I don't hate anyone for their religion. I refuse to. I'm not bigoted. I don't care about any of that bullshit. If you're treating me good, I don't really care what your skin looks like. It just doesn't matter to me. And if you're treating me badly, I mean, I don't care if you're a fellow Caucasian or something. You're still treating me badly. It's just the way that it works. But yeah, I do have to conform to YouTube's TOS when I am live on these streams. King of Biltong, apologies, was driving for the last 20 minutes. I almost forgot to mention I will be on We Are Change today at 6 p.m. Eastern. We will be talking to Luke about the happenings in Roanoke, Texas. Tune in if you can. Cool. Maybe I can get, hey, Anton, DM me on Twitter. I'd like to have you aboard for an extra special broadcast. We'll do it. We'll do it cross-platform because I know you're not going to say anything that'll get me banned or something like that. You can do that with me as well. That'd probably be a good idea. Get you more biltong exposure. He said, I think 6 p.m. But is that 6 p.m.? That's Eastern time. Okay, I thought at first it might be Texas time. So at 6 p.m. Eastern time. King of Biltong, that is Anton, who sells us the delicious meat and also Stick Sex and Hammer merch as well. Just saying, he will be on Luke's show. We Are Change. Yeah, we'll have to. Okay, excellent. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna have Anton on as a guest in the immediate future. Of course, since I have to do 2 live streams today, I can't do it today. Can't do it Wednesday because, again, I go live with quartering. Wondering on Friday or something like that. I have to DM me on Twitter and we'll figure out a time, I guess. Yeah, Shasta, there are only really 2 things you can do on, well, 3 things technically on my channel where I'll put you in a timeout or something. And even then, I mean, I gave him a 5-minute timeout. It's not like I'm banning him from the channel. You have to be trying to scam people, usually crypto scams, sometimes pornography. Posting something illegal, that hasn't really happened though, so that's fine. Or you have to be spamming so intensely that nobody else can speak. Those are the only 3 real rules in the chat on my channel. I remember the ICQ days. Dude, I'm no hypocrite. I used to attack chat rooms relentlessly and call in troll raids from 4chan to the point where they would shut down. So I like the chaos. I have no problem with it. But, you know, people should still be able to speak freely. Anyways, I think I'm going to go offline here. I thank you to the over 5,000 people, I believe, that tuned in live. Yeah, about 5,000 people. And I'm going to hold over those other 2 subjects, the Nashville Manifesto, and I can't remember what the other one was. I'll hold them over for videos tomorrow or live stream topics because I got sort of bogged down in various subjects. We had to talk about Hurricane Beryl because I am genuinely worried about this one. If you are in the path of it, anywhere near in the path of it, prepare. Get the water or the light beer, again, the same thing. Get your MREs, get your camp stove or whatever the hell you need to get, and make sure you have a couple days supplies because it could be a bad one, especially in areas that are mountainous. Yeah, CW Spangle is back now. Let's see. Oh, and now he's randomly spamming random people with Jewish money posts. CW again, I don't know if you can hear me because I don't know if you're a real person. I do not mind if you post that kind of thing in the chat. But if you continue to post it relentlessly towards everyone in the chat, I will give you timeouts. We'll give you a spanking. I believe in free speech, and I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know whether you're a bot or not. Okay, can anyone confirm that it's a bot? Okay, he's muted for the live stream. If he comes back tomorrow and he persists in that, or she or it, then I'll assume that it's a bot. And all you've got to do is comment in chat and not do the spammy thing and say, no, I'm not a bot. That's literally all you have to do. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I'll be live again tomorrow with more news. I've got a food business to attend to and, other crazy business. That's about all. Peace out.